Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for permanent weight loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Staying on track with your eating. How do we actually stay on track? Why can't I stay on track? Maybe you can put together a few days of eating well, but then at the end of the day, you end up self-sabotaging somehow, and now you're off track and upset and just continuing back in that same vicious cycle. And then the negative self-talk comes in of being like, why am I doing this? Why can't I stay consistent? What's wrong with me? So today's episode, I am wanting to support you in having answers as to why that happens and what you can do about it as a way to stay on track. So I'm Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and let's dive into it. So I'm all about the brain, obviously, hypnosis and studying everything having to do with habit change and behavior change. And I'm really interested in helping people understand the why, because if we understand why it's happening and we stop blaming ourselves or making ourselves wrong for whatever food behavior that we're doing, then we actually can be empowered to change it. And it can actually be way easier than we think. So yeah, that's my intention for you today when it comes to staying consistent with your eating or whatever, way of being you want to do. I feel compelled to say that in the beginning, it's important to look at where you are at as far as, is this actually the time that you actually do in fact want to lose weight? So when I say that, what I mean by that is like, it's required that your reason for wanting to lose weight is just something that's just for you. If you are wanting to lose weight because you're afraid of what other people are going to think, or you are afraid that your husband won't find you attractive anymore, or you think society says it's bad, or your doctor says it's bad, you are not going to be as likely to stay consistent with any eating plan because it's not actually what you care about. And you can kind of look at that. Like if I was alone on a desert island and no one could see me and I was allowed to eat any way that I wanted to, how would I want to eat? How would I want to be? And I believe that's what happened during the pandemic is people were alone on an island, and for the first time they actually had some kind of permission to completely let go and do what they've always wanted to do, but social constructs and jobs and right, all of the structure that was there prior was kind of acting as a safety mechanism to prevent us from doing that. But the power of surrender, and as painful as I know was for so many people with the weight gain during the pandemic, I believe that it actually can be a really beautiful opportunity to take a look deeper into like your authentic truth and who you actually are. So again, if it is not authentic to you, that you really do feel personally, and you have to sometimes, like, you can actually, like, your brain can make you think that it is for you. But yeah, looking really deeply of like, do I actually care about this for me? Because if you don't, and there is no right, wrong, good, or bad, like, again, it's going to be Very challenging to stay consistent with your eating. Your values can shift. What you cared about years ago, or whenever you were able to easily stay on track, may be different now. You may have had life changes, family changes, just value changes overall, where your priorities have shifted. And it's not that you don't care about your health, it's not that you don't value it, but it just may look a different way. Maybe you started valuing your mental health more. Maybe you started valuing your relationship life more. Maybe you started valuing your career more. And therefore, your health took a different seat. And a lot of times we'll self shame and we'll blame and we'll make ourselves wrong and bad for that. But oftentimes, if we look, there is still a way that you are valuing your health. It just may not be in the realm of staying super skinny or trying to fit into a size whatever jeans again. Okay, good. I'm such a firm believer in we are always getting what we want. It's just whether or not we can actually see that. So awesome. All right. I'm getting a notification as I'm recording, so just wanting to set ourselves up for success to make sure this is coming through well for you. All right. Now, looking at, how the brain works as far as staying on track goes, and everything else. So now say that you are 100% sure that for yourself personally, you want to lose the weight and you want to stay on track with a certain way of eating. Awesome. Okay, so we have good days and we have bad days, right? There's some days where it's like, I'm on it, I got it. And there's some days where it's like, I'm not on it. And the one thing that we can't control in our lives is anything that's happening externally, anything that's going on outside of yourself. So, how other people react to you, or what they say, or what they do, or unexpected events in general. And that always is going to be the case in life. So, how do we better navigate those things? Because those are often the things that will throw you off track, right? They'll be the things that have you not stay consistent with your eating and say, F it, I'm just going to do this instead, or it's a bad day, or I deserve this, or whatever, that has you make a different decision. So, just the awareness of that, first of all. And the second awareness I want you to make sure that you have is knowing that the number one killer of transformation, of you being able to get back on track faster, is you judging yourself. So the more that you can embrace the fact that you are a human being and you have hard things that can happen to you and hard emotions that you feel just by nature of being a human, the easier it's going to be for you to get back on track. Because as soon as you start a cycle of, as soon as you fall off your food plan, you're angry at yourself, you're upset, you're saying negative things to yourself. Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? I'm never going to be able to lose weight. What's the point? Like, as soon as you go into that space, and again, that's human, those kinds of negative thoughts are normal when you experience negative feelings. But as soon as you can just notice when that is occurring and say, oh, let me just put that aside for a second and let me learn how to be nice to me in this situation, and let me not blame myself but forgive myself for the mistake that I've made. That is going to then release those negative emotions and help you get your energy back, your motivation back, and now all of a sudden you can stay consistent again with your eating. So, good. All those things in the forefront. So understanding that, those life events from the outside can occur, and then knowing that when an event happens that your brain creates meaning around as, this is bad, this is wrong, this is putting me somehow in jeopardy. So maybe you were rejected somehow, internally you feel rejected, or you feel bad about something in general. again, that creates negative thoughts, and then that creates a negative behavior. All right. So if you feel bad, you're most likely going to choose foods that aren't on your food plan. Yeah. Like just think for yourself, raise your hand as you're listening. Of when you feel bad, do you often make choices that aren't in alignment with how you know that you would like to be eating? Do you go for the chips at that time? Do you go for the alcohol or the wine at that time, etc.? So, and then think for yourself, like when I'm feeling good about myself, when I'm feeling excited, when I'm feeling energized, when I'm feeling empowered, am I more prone to making better decisions? Now, sometimes there could be the times when you're like in celebration mode and you're like so high on life that you want to have a glass of wine to celebrate as well. That also can be normal. And it can also be a sign that like your authentic truth may be that you want to just really be free and enjoy life more than anything. And it could be that your lower state, your when you're in that lower state and thinking negatively about yourself, that's when you're like, I really want to lose weight, I really want to blah blah blah. And it's like you trick yourself in saying like, I am empowered to do this. When in reality it's like it's fear based, because you're like, well, if I don't do this, then I'm never gonna be happy in relationship. If I don't do this, I'm never gonna be happy. If I don't do this, I'm never gonna get X, Y, and Z results. If I don't do this, then some bad situation is gonna happen. And it's not that those things can't be or aren't valid, but from a motivation standpoint, what's actually the most powerful is when you're actually focusing on what is good about the outcome. So, oh, I know that when I exercise, I'm going to feel really good after, maybe not during, but after. And so that's what's motivating me to go. Oh, I know that if I have a big, huge salad for lunch, it's going to feel so good and I'm going to be so energized to do the next thing in my day. I know that right? So if you're like attaching the good that you're going to get from making those decisions, more likely to have success doing it. And, if you have a negative relationship, I'm working on this next week with my clients who have some negative thoughts about exercise. Well, how can we actually change our relationship with exercise, even the word exercise, or the hard work that comes with it, or any negative associations we have with exercise? How can I actually change that in my psyche so that I can have a better relationship with it, feel more excited about it, and stay consistent doing it? Yeah, so again, recognizing like your state matters so much here. So if you can control your state, meaning if you can control the way that you're feeling in your body on a regular basis, which by the way, research shows it only takes 90 seconds of staying with an emotion, staying with a negative emotion, like actually staying with it, meaning like being in it, breathing through it, searching around with it, staying with it, that it can actually go away. Okay, so if we actually have the patience to be with ourselves when we're feeling bad and breathe through it and not buy into the stories we are making up about it, then we're going to move past it before we need to start shoveling food into our mouths or, creating some kind of scenario that has you stay stuck in that vicious cycle, gaining weight or not losing weight. So it's really about a state thing, right? So how, when it comes to staying on track, it's like, okay, first have a plan of making sure that this is authentically how you want to eat right now. This is authentically what you want to do, and you're excited about the result it's going to bring. You have a picture in your mind of how good it's going to feel to, look good in your bathing suit or whatever. And it feels genuine. So, and like a test of it can be like, if there's a panic button about like, oh my God, again, if I don't lose this amount of weight before next month, I'm not going to fit into that dress. Or, oh my God, if I don't lose this amount of weight, I'm going to look fat in my bathing suit again this year. Like, if there's that energy, again, it's starting you off on the wrong foot. I can't tell you how many times in my journey that I had did what we do, and you put out that smaller bathing suit, So you could look at it every day. And I never fit into it. That was not the motivation that worked. It didn't work because it wasn't actually what I wanted and it wasn't aligned. Um, but what did work is when I authentically felt like, oh no, I actually feel like I want to lighten up and it's feeling easy and it feels genuine and it feels like what I want to do right now. But there have been other seasons where it's like, that's not what I want to do right now. Like I need to heal right now, or I want to focus on this right now, and so I need to accept that my weight may be higher than I'm comfortable with, but I trust myself to know that if I give myself permission to be with this, a lot of my clients have grief happen and loss happen or bad marriages happening, and it's like, it's sometimes how can we expect ourselves to be like so self-motivated when there's like something very clearly challenging in our space right now. And it's such an act of self-love to acknowledge it and be with it, and also acknowledge like and appreciate that your body has the ability to expand more to help you get through hard times, as you may need to comfort yourself a little bit more with food, etc. So this is why I always say that weight loss is like a different animal, because it's not just like stopping smoking or stopping drinking alcohol or something that's not necessary to live. It's food, it's nurturing, it is comforting, and we go through so many different phases and spaces in our lives that, self-compassion and self, just being honest with yourself is like so huge in this whole dynamic. Okay, so again, say that you are in that authentic space of like, no, this is, I really, like inside my body. So it's not the panic button that I'm feeling about needing to lose weight. It's like this genuine, expansive, I'm excited, I'm feeling good about this. I really genuinely want it, and I'm excited for the journey, and I don't have a destination, like a hard deadline destination. Um, that feels like constrictive. It's like expansive. That's a sign of like, oh, cool. Like this is genuinely what I want. And I'm excited to take these actions towards it. Maybe you're already on the path of taking the actions towards it. So then, you have the structure set up of like, okay, here's how I want to eat. Here's how I want to exercise. Here's how I want to, work on my sleep and my hydration, and right, like here's how I want to set myself up. Here's the activities I want to do. And you kind of have that plan in place. So then again, when it comes to staying on track, it's like when you fall off, it's just recognizing, okay, I fell off and now I'm noticing I'm feeling bad and I'm thinking negative thoughts. And so how can I, like I don't want to go and be bad, and fail this whole thing that I've set up, but I actually want to stay on track and consistent. Good. So then that's when you can go in and you can allow yourself to just imagine going into the discomfort in your body. And you can actually imagine doing it now. So just imagine if you felt any stress or anxiety about not staying on track. You can just breathe, and you can imagine going into the body. And then you can just imagine going right inside of where you can feel that anxiety or panic or concern, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame. And you imagine you can just look around in that area. Just notice what you see. Good. Continuing to breathe, noticing what it feels like as you just stay in this area, move around the area. What does it feel like as you, under your feet, as you move through that area? Is it sticky? Is it slimy? Is it prickly? Is it sharp? Safe to feel that way. Knowing that all of your emotions stem from a much younger age in your life, so you can actually imagine like taking your childhood self, even like maybe like a baby version of you, imagine the weight in your arms as you're holding yourself, holding your baby. That is you. That's the emotion. Just imagine like actually being able to look into your own eyes as a baby, as a small child. Just say, I love you. You're safe. You have permission to be you. You'll always be accepted by me. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. I forgive you. Nice deep breath in and out. You can imagine yourself traveling back out of that and just come back, just like a mini kind of demo of that. And then you can kind of ask yourself, like, okay, now that I just got off track or I made that mistake, like I forgive myself for that. Like, what do I want to do now? And just notice what's authentically there, right? And so now that you've allowed your state in just, those few seconds to kind of get back to expansion and back to, right, safety again, then it's just about like, okay, the next right action for me to take. I can't change the past. It is what I did. Maybe that was what I needed to do at the time, but I can do what I can to support myself in the now that then has me be able to make a better decision next. So if you just ate too much, it's like a quote unquote normal eater would just be like, okay, well, I just feel like I need to drink a lot of water because I just had a bunch of salt and I just feel like dehydrated now. Or, I just feel like I actually want to take a walk because I'm so full and it just feels like I just need to move my body. Or maybe I do need to take a nap because it just was so many carbs and whatever. And it's just like, okay, like it's just the next right action, how to take care of yourself. And then waiting till the energy comes back in full force. Sometimes it, takes a little time. Sometimes it's a lot better even just after stopping and setting in like that. And then just how, getting back into it, getting back on track that way, and still knowing that, like, just because you make one mistake, right? Black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, being a perfectionist, like, unfortunately, diet mentality often wires us to be that way. And it can make it really challenging to do. The other thing that's just like how humans reach success best is through accountability and with support and having, other people on the same journey as you. It's, to think that you should always be able to just do it on your own, to me is just really it's not feasible. You have to have an honest conversation with yourself. There's certain times in my life where I'm like, I know all the right things to do, and yet I know I'm not gonna, like, whatever about it. Like, I'm not actually gonna do it unless I'm got some skin in the game. I paid for a program, or I remember like being accountability partners with my mom, and just like I did not feel accountable to her. Like it was just like there was no repercussions if I didn't eat the way that I said that I was going to eat. So it's like sometimes you need to put money on the line to force yourself to do it. And you need to, again, like, just that's how the brain works, is if you have structure and you have support and you have other people doing the same thing, but you need to know who you're doing it with, right? Like, and when I say no, like, you need to be honest with yourself of if you actually feel accountable to that person. And if you're not willing to invest and you're not willing to, go out of your comfort zone, pay money or whatever for it, that's okay too. But then just know that that's probably not a priority for you right now, right? And that's okay as well. So, I know for myself, if I'm not paying into something, if I'm not invested in it, if it's not something that I'm spending a lot of my time doing, then that means it's just not a priority for me. So I don't beat myself up, because I'm just honest with myself and saying, like, well, if I was serious about this, I'd be doing something different. There was a transformation for myself because, I'm a nurse by trade, highly value health. And when I was getting out of diet mentality and healing these patterns, on a very deep, emotional and real level, my brain was saying, as weight gain was happening, that I was failing, of course, and that I was like a fraud for saying I was someone who valued her health, and yet I was eating, things that weren't healthy. And then I had to take a look for myself and say, hey, I am valuing my health because I was invested in a program that was teaching me how to be a normal eater. And I was committed to healing it. And so someone who didn't value their health wouldn't be in a program that was supporting the healing that allowed me to have a lifetime of, happiness and peace and, holistic health. So sometimes we need to be honest about, or take a deeper look if we have any of those stories going of no, I do care about my health. No, I am invested in this. It looks different than it did before when I was weighing and measuring every ounce of food I was eating or something like I did. And it's still invested in it, and I will continue to be. I always have been, right? And if I really take a look, my weight has kind of stayed within the same, whatever, even if it's 40-pound range or something my whole life. And therefore there has been some consistency, right? So sometimes it takes another pair of eyes, especially if you're programmed to be really hard on yourself and compare yourself and judge yourself. It makes it almost impossible to be kind. And so that's why I'm so adamant about creating that muscle of self-compassion and progress and celebrating all your wins along the way and who you're becoming, because again, your brain will hijack you and saying with the black and white thinking that you're just always failing and you're always doing it wrong. And it's just not nice. And it's also not your fault that your brain does it, but you can actually train your brain to be a different way with yourself, and leads for a much more peaceful existence. So I hope this has been helpful. Feel your feelings, as a way to stay on track. Notice when you're not feeling good, and know that if you're not feeling good, that's often when bad decisions are made. And so how can you change whatever situation on the outside caused you to not feel good? Do you need to have a conversation? Do you need to understand what happened? Do you need to learn emotional mastery? Do you need to, is there an opportunity to learn in the breakdown? In my experience, there always is. And how is that breakdown actually supporting you in getting to your next level, showing you something that you didn't see before? And you deserve kindness and patience as you learn. And that can bring you to the next step. So sometimes we can use our food journeys as windows of awareness into just our growth as humans. And when you do it that way and you see it that way, it makes the whole permanent weight loss journey that much more special. So love you so much, and we'll see you for the next episode. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.